Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com.
Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve? Let's dive back into the coronavirus stuff, although from different points of view today.
I love it, Ben. There's nothing better than a good conspiracy, especially when you're locked down and you need something to cheer you up.
Or just something to think about, to occupy your brain. We're going to have a bit of fun with that today, but before we dive into that, we'll have a quick look at the New Zealand story in the past week or so, with them surprisingly recording some new cases after, I think it was 102 days of being virus-free. There's obviously been a lot of talk about how, they were like the poster child for, combating the virus, and it seemed like they did have it under control, but now that they've had a small cluster sort of outbreak in Auckland, they've gone back to stage 3 restrictions, stage 2 for the rest of the country. And I think it just sort of highlights that you can't really be complacent or think that you've got this whole thing down. And that's not to be heavily critical of what they were doing in New Zealand. Not that we can talk in Australia, obviously, with the way things have been going here, but maybe it's just a much more difficult problem to deal with than just we'll shut up shop for a couple of weeks and then it's all done.
Well, it goes to show you, as you say, the difficulties with running a sort of even a suppression strategy. New Zealand had over 100 days without any local cases. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but the only logical explanation for this is that there must have been a quarantine security breach. So somebody who's come in has somehow spread the disease, and that's probably the best we can say at this point. But it goes to show you how quickly you can get numbers. It does go to show you how quickly New Zealand moves to lockdown. I mean, on the same basis, Sydney or New South Wales should be locked down with the numbers they're recording. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in New South Wales over the next month or two, and interesting to see what happens in New Zealand. I suspect they'll get back down to 0 community cases again very quickly, and then we'll see what happens, how quickly they open up.
And just finally, too, on this particular point, just with an update from Victoria, meaning there was about 300 or so cases recorded today at the time of this recording, and I think the trend line, it was starting to look like it was going down overall, but obviously there's still a fair amount of work and restriction time left to go before things can even begin to be considered to be returning to normal.
Well, that's right. So remember, you have to get those numbers down maybe to 10 or around the number 10 towards 0, and then you probably have to have 2 weeks once you achieve that. So there's still a lot of work to be done in Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we'll move on to some fun now, if you can call it that. A lot of people take this kind of serious in their, in their various corners of the internet that they live on. But this whole coronavirus pandemic has obviously encouraged and fostered the whole conspiracy theory mindset, with lots of people jumping in with all sorts of things. I guess maybe as a side thing, you've got the leader of the supposed free world potentially propagating some of this stuff as well. So I guess that kind of helps with all of that sort of stuff going out. But there's where I did want to start though was I saw a documentary on the ABC's Four Corners I think it was a couple of weeks ago, which covered the 5G conspiracy. Which, if you don't already know and you want to look it up and amuse yourselves, it's the idea that the 5G network is somehow a transmitter for the virus. So they have to take all those towers down, burn them all down, and there were people, watching Telstra around the clock. I think there was some people in a van watching a mobile phone tower to make sure that it wasn't going to get upgraded to 5G. This is just crazy stuff, and I can just remember the chief medical officer for Australia coming out at one point, and I could see he was clearly exasperated at the fact that he had to actually respond to it and say that it was nonsense. And it's just fascinating that the way these people actually, the conviction with which they believe that this is true is quite disturbing in a way.
Oh, it's very disturbing. And it's worth noting that the 5G conspiracy was around before Corona. So before Corona, it was just, 5G was just going to kill us, right? And basically that goes right back, if you want to trace it right back to the original mobile phone days where, mobile phones were going to give us all brain tumours and we're all going to die. Now, I think, 25 years on, the fact that the human race is all glued to a mobile phone today probably goes to show that they're not as deadly as they made out 25 years ago. That conspiracy meme has then just continued along its way, and for some reason 5G, because it's more powerful, more prolific, has reignited that. And then Corona came along at the right time, and somebody makes a comment that links the two, and we have a whole new 5G and Corona conspiracy going. And I don't know what it takes to believe this sort of thing. I've seen the people like you on interviewed. They're certainly convinced. For me, it's just a leap too far.
Well, if I was going to believe one version of it, if that's obviously a massive if, it would be we're living in a radiation soup. I think that's the way they described it. But of course, they don't think about 3G or 4G being able to do the same thing. But anyway, it's amusing to say the least.
Not to mention AM and FM radio as well.
Exactly. But
and your microwave.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not obviously the only one that's going around. Just one that's even more basic than that is that it's a complete hoax. So the idea that the sovereign citizens out there that are saying that it's an excuse for governments, etc., to take away your human rights and all that sort of stuff, to live in a free society, etc. This one obviously takes a number of different variations and forms, but it's basically at the crux of it is that, and that's where you see people on the street, yelling at police and all that sort of stuff, and it's really just average.
But I will say this for that one. I mean, that one exists. Whenever there's some sort of crisis like this one always comes up. It's a restriction of civil liberties or an erosion of them. And I kind of like this conspiracy theory in that I think at its roots it at least provokes maybe some thinking about the situation. But to suggest that Corona is a hoax, I mean, that at least, if you're not going crazy, well, then maybe you can have a good laugh at it. Like, it's just, well, I don't think it's a hoax. Do you, Ben?
Absolutely not.
Although with this conspiracy, we can never be sure.
That's right. Well, the only classic example I can point to, which I think we mentioned a couple of episodes ago, was that TV talk show guy in America that was broadcasting that it was a hoax, and then his son got it, and then he tweeted out, "Oh, sorry guys, it's actually real."
Yeah.
I mean, sad for him and his family.
It's always unreal until it's real.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What about this one that all the precautions are overkill? All this stuff that they're talking about with social distancing and hygiene and all of that, and that doesn't necessarily do much of anything.
I mean, I wonder, do you think some people make this stuff up to try and get a bit more of the spread? I mean, if you accept coronavirus is real, which we just had a bit of a chuckle, it's pretty hard not to accept that it's real. But if you accept it's real, and even if you want to believe that it's only a little flu, okay, that's another one. Myth that's out there. But even if you want to believe that, we all know that the flu is real, and we know how the flu spreads, and we know that you could prevent that by keeping your distance, etc., etc. So once again, I can't see how anyone can really make that leap of faith to think that the precautions are a hoax.
Absolutely. All right. Well, what about a more, political nefarious one where it's like the idea that it's some sort of bioweapon created by pick your country of choice, of course, that it originated in a lab somewhere and it was targeted, etc.
Well, if we hadn't seen this in that many movies, this exact plot, look, I think it's actually a fair assumption that it could be. I really do think it's a fair assumption. But if you really look around and search for the evidence, because if you're a conspiracy theorist, you should be a good detective. And so if you really look into these things, you won't find any evidence that it is a bioweapon. And I have looked into it because I was curious, because I think it's worth a lot of the premises for these conspiracy theories I think are valuable in terms of questioning.
Yeah.
But, it's up to you if you're going to question it. It's up to you to do a little bit of investigation and try and find the truth for yourself, just like Fox and Mulder.
But isn't that the classic thing, the questioner? So a lot of these conspiracy theorists won't question the actual conspiracy theory itself.
No, that's right.
To wrap it in on itself, of course.
That's right. You assume the conspiracy theory is right in the face of all evidence against it.
Okay, and what about this one where Trump looks bad?
Well, that's a good one. It certainly serves a purpose for Donald Trump. I think that'd probably be one that he's very big on. I just think he looks bad. Whether you look at Corona or anything else, I don't think Corona makes him look any worse if that's what the conspiracy's asking.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess there's one here too about FDA approved drugs that can prevent or treat COVID-19 that are being, suppressed. I guess the hydroxychloroquine and all that stuff that is put out there. But yeah, why would they hold that? What interest would there be for them to hold any of that stuff back if it actually worked?
If they had stuff that worked, it would be out there now, and there'd be a conspiracy theory that the pharmaceutical companies had invented COVID to sell their drugs. So, you can't win. I don't think there's... Given the conspiracy theory that recognises how greedy the pharmaceutical companies are, I can't believe that they'd be withholding the drugs. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. There's always a rebuttal. And just finally, there was I had to laugh at this one when I saw it, and I'll explain this one in a bit more detail. But the idea that COVID-19 is a ruse to distract us from a doomsday asteroid, which was basically based off a viral Facebook post that claimed that NASA and the Vatican were hiding the discovery of an asteroid on its way to demolish our planet. And the best way to hide that, come up with a highly contagious virus and put it out there to distract everyone.
I kind of like this one once again, and I think it's got merit. But if anyone can explain to me why the Vatican's working with NASA, I'd love to know.
It seems like an oddly unique pairing, to say the least.
It's so crazy. It must be true.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Maybe there's a historical precedence with, former members of the church or something with being astronomers or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. Da Vinci Code? Because that was real, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe everyone should have another good read of that book and, get themselves fired up on all that sort of stuff. All right, we might wrap it up there. There's more that we could probably go through, but you get the gist of what we're talking about here. It's, I think maybe what you were saying too, the idea that it's useful as a questioning tool is always helpful, but when the two issues, I guess, that I would say from that is that if you can't question the theory itself, then there's no point, obviously. But the other thing is, when it comes to conspiracy theories, if you think it's a conspiracy or an accident, it's almost always usually an accident, because the supposed nefarious actors behind it are not that good at what they claim they are.
That's right. I mean, always look for the simple option because, the other conspiracy theory is that our secret services aren't organised enough to be able to manage these things properly anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't forget our website, scitechculture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can subscribe to our YouTube and Vimeo channels, our RSS feeds, and watch us on any and all of your devices. And we greatly appreciate your visits to our website. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.